Hello, everybody. Today is Wednesday, September. Oh, goodness. September 6th. And let's see if I got the audio working. Do I? I do. Well, I failed to bring the speaker over here. Um, that's very important. I'm going to be right back. It said chat disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. Successfully connected. We have weather going on. Bear with me. I'm going to run over here and get the speaker. Well, I'm walking fast. I'm not running. Here we go. I'm away. I had a lot to do to prepare. Because I hadn't done anything except think. And I've been very, very busy these days. I started at 3 a.m. Got a lot done. Still going. But this talk, I've been wanting to get it done because I have more that I need to deal with. Like the shenanigans here in Kalkaska, a lot. So those are other talks. Those are other videos. Braindead on the land. That's our America. It is sad. The lack of critical thinking, the disconnect, the cognitive dissonance, it is beyond astonishing. So with Russell's talk, I believe we picked it up at, do we pick it up at 9:27 or end at 9:27? I think we went 9 minutes 27 seconds into about 12 minutes with commentary. So I'm gonna cue it up at about 9:27 and just let it roll for 3 or 4 minutes. We're gonna get through this one tonight. Because I'm only going to go 18.5 minutes, because then they start getting into some YouTube sensitive conversation. And I'm going to give you a picture in picture for another talk. Derek Johnson gave a talk the other day, and I'm going to play a segment of that and talk about it, and then wrapping it up, I'm going to just try and give you the kiss. Keep it stupidly simple. Give you that 30,000 foot view of what's going on from my perspective, the way I see it. All right, now I did go and put that video in saved messages, so I could just go right to it. And I believe this is just audio. I don't believe this is video. This is audio. You can find it on my Telegram channel, posted, I believe, August 20th. You could find it on Russ's channel. I'm not sure. It's titled "For the Queries of the Lost at Sea Lady." So, all right, I got to turn the sound down so I can cue this in. Oh yeah, I can tell that's where we ended. So I'm gonna back it up. We're almost there. All right, that's at 9:20. I'll turn the volume up. Just gonna let this roll. Listen to this without the commentary. Um, these things that are being said are worth listening to repetitively until it all starts to come together for you. Here we go.
It's written in fiction, right? And it was abandoned back in 1999. Post office in the year 2000 during the presidential election in violation of Title 39, Section 101, subsection A and subsection B. No constitution, no president. So they had to vacate. They had to follow their own terms, which they did. And now they vacated the estate, and now they're just putting social engineering to undermine the good people of the world. And unfortunately, there are a few that it seems that they have a death cult for themselves, not against us, of course, but for themselves, because the very thing that they built to destroy us will destroy them. These are some of the things you can do and become a postmaster. Step 7 is a wonderful application that we tender in fortheclaimofthelife.com, and you get a claim of the life with us. You get to get the protocols of having how to register your ship's papers, right? And how to be neutral when you do that, right? Because they are in a space of war, and you guys don't have authorization to go to war against them. Nor would you want to. That's a whole cesspool of filth. Those generals, shame on those generals. Yes, no, the U.S. military does not work for the people. Thank you, lady. Yes, they work for the generals, and the generals are all whores. They're bought and paid for. Our generals in the U.S. military are whores, right? They took the money. They like the money. The admirals, the vice admirals, they're all on the take, and they get paid to run a jet. It's private venture capital that comes in and pays the U.S. military, not your tax dollars. For crying out loud, that doesn't go to pay anything. This is all privately funded war machine. There's a war machine death agenda to kill us all. They're carrying out the programs. I think they're pretty special. The cool thing about these generals is that when they get about 80 years old, they pull the funzo out from underneath them and they roll them under the bus and they give them the pill and they get to die a quick death. So that's their fate, and that's pretty cool to watch. The generals all get rolled under the bus as they age, and so it's just interesting watching the older ones try to hold on. When you've been behind the scenes like I have with some of these guys, and you watch these generals try to hold on, and that's where they got their Cefelis and their little runners for the CIA. That's what they use them patsies for.
Two, if your country
yes, and so fiction can't take an oath because it doesn't say anything. And they don't comply with it anyways because it doesn't say anything. The leaders know that they don't have to do anything. They do what they want. That's why they change the laws. They change the rules. And they fit it to whatever money and the vested generals in that area allow through. And it's all war theater the whole time. So that's why we have the oath on our contract. So we comply with having an oath to perform our contracts to stop and correct and be neutral postmasters during a phase of war.
3, if you're fighting for your country, country no longer exists, who are you fighting for?
Again, she doesn't realize she's not been in the inner circles of the meetings with the generals, and they fight for the 13 families. The generals work for the 13 families. They do not work for you, the people. They are bought and paid for. They're all sellouts. They're whores. Anybody you see on television, pretty much a whore. It just is what it is. Just deal with it. I tell them right to their face. I have a different relationship with them. With pussy motherfuckers, but that's my relationship with them. They know what that means. I promise.
4, if selected, non-elected people are making policy that destroys our country, then how and why are we supporting their efforts?
I am not supporting their effort. I have put myself on vacation from all that. Those of you who were at my last workshop got to comprehend a little bit of that vacation, what that vacation looks like. But I set up my history on that, right? My story. And it took a lot of work to go into the courts, figure out the gambit of the foreign vessels in dry dock, and become the chief judge of all the courthouses on planet Earth. What you can do is start with step 7 on our claimofthelife.com and start setting up, your useries, your ships channels, and move yourself into a neutral position. This woman doesn't know any of that. And another thing is she needs to quit paying attention to so much about what other people aren't doing because they're not saying anything. The document that she's concerned about says nothing. There's not a legal sentence on there. So with no legal sentence on there, can't check out it. You can't even look into it because there's nothing to talk about. So she's pretty lost this way.
So we have been so babbled that there isn't a legal sentence on just about anything. And so that pretty much means all contracts are void, because they don't say anything. It's pure babble. So, people, we have been spellbound, MK Ultra'd, indoctrinated, dumbed down, fear-based, and spellbound. And how do you get out of it? This is generational. And it just got worse and worse and worse. Now, something happened. Something happened to deal with the third and final bankruptcy, and the plans for the reset that the demonic ones had in mind. Now, you should be able to see that if you're paying attention to SGNN, Derek Johnson. I'm going to put Captain Kyle in there because I want to make a comment again about a talk I listened to that was a long talk. I think about an hour and a half into the talk, they got into question and answer. It was SGNN and Captain Kyle. One of the people asked, did Russell, meaning :Russell -J :Gould period, did Russ capture the flag? Both SGNN and Captain Kyle said yes, almost without hesitation. And then silence, crickets, meaning we're not going to talk about this. Yes, Russell captured the flag. We're not going to talk about it. Why? Maybe those guys are under contract. Could be. The ones getting algorithms, the ones getting stuff pushed out, there's a reason for it. Russell, for all he's done, you hear him talk, what he's done with the courts. You study, you find out what this man has really done. He captured the flag. This is what last flag standing is all about. He his story is phenomenal, and I give him so much credit, and I say that he has terrible production when it comes to making information that's going to go viral, and I believe that's by design. I believe that's absolutely by design. And I'm sure there's some pretty good reasons for it. And I'm speculating on a few of them, so we'll leave it at that. Now, Derek Johnson will tell you that before the Constitution, everybody talks about the Constitution. All right, right now, there is a Constitution in quantum grammar. Where the hell is it? I don't know. It could be in Philadelphia. It could be in the Benjamin in the Benjamin Free post office. I'm not sure if that's correct, but Philadelphia, I think Ben Franklin, Franklin Free post office. That might be where we can find the quantum grammar Constitution done for us in Reconstitution during martial law, devolution, and one more. Martial law, Reconstitution, devolution. I'm brain farting. There's one more, and I just ain't able to spit it out. So Derek will explain that the very first Constitution is the Declaration of Independence. The second Constitution was the Articles of Confederation. Is Articles of Confederation. The flag, the Articles of Confederation, the Declaration of Independence, and the military all came before government. Now, the talk I'm gonna play a segment out of is it's a 2 hour plus talk, and in the beginning, Derek's on a rant, and justifiably so. And I've heard him say it so many times. I just tried to, push forward until he starts getting into some stuff that I want to hear. And so I didn't listen to the entire thing, and I think I fell short on a couple of minutes at the end. But in either one of those locations, of his talk, I don't think he would have been talking about there's two powers. Maybe Derek got the message. He's not doing that anymore. At one point, he talked about the gold fringe flag as a military parade flag. But you see, he's a young man, and nobody has yet to explain to me why JAG, Judge Advocate General, is required to be a British agent. Yes, JAG is required to have a bar card. You see, the military had cleaning up to do too. And I got a feeling that JAG requirement to be a British agent is history. I do. I believe that. But nobody talks about it. Derek, stop talking about that gold fringe flag being a military parade flag. There's so much information, and we have just been lied to our entire lives. So we all get caught from time to time. Listening to my talk, I screwed up. I did, because I said, let me something. I think let me see, which I've struggled so hard to get that out of my vocabulary when it doesn't belong there. How are you going to let me? This is my deal here. You can't let me do any of this, can you? But everybody's saying it all the time. You listen to these people, anybody, whether they're giving you a talk or you're just intermingling out face to face. People say, let me this, let me that, for things they're responsible for their job, for their family, for whatever, their duty, their responsibility. It's like the weatherman, blah, 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 blah. Let me show you the weather. No. Blah, 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 blah. Now I'm going to show you the radar. Not let me show you the radar. I'm going to show you the radar. Why? It's my show. I'm the weatherman. You can't let me. You can't let me. So that was one of the hardest things for me to get out of my daily vocabulary, and still a couple of times a year it'll slip out. So hey, we're fallible, and we have been fouled with deception and lies and enslaved. And this is why Executive Order 13818 is so important. And when I first heard about it, it just clicked for me instantly that these courts that aren't courts, they're not courts of record, they're administrative courts, they're fiction, they're an enslavement, they are human trafficking, pure and simple. Their everyday function is human trafficking. And that's just clicked for me. And that's like, I like to keep it simple. What more do you need when you gotta deal with these policy officers and these British agents? There is no license to practice law. The bar, as a private member association, was never regulated by government, never regulated by that corporation. In fact, it was the bar that was running that corporation. You got the bar in virtually every corporation. You got the bar in virtually every institution. Every facet of your life is affected by these demonic fucks. So the military had some cleaning up to do too. Now I want to remind you, there's three powers. And you, the people, you're the highest. You're the absolute highest power. I want to see how far I got on that talk with Russell, because there's a few more minutes left to go. Now, the thumbnail. Let's see, we're at 14 minutes. Yeah, they've got a good couple minutes left to go. The thumbnail for this video: 6 engines on 2 wings, 3 engines on each wing. That's a Soviet era bird. What's it doing in Kalkaska, Michigan, or over Kalkaska, Michigan, directly over my head at a very low altitude at a very slow speed? Well, you can listen to some generals and some others that are knowledgeable explain that those kind of flyovers only happen by a direct order. And it doesn't mean the pilot has any idea why. He's taking orders. These coordinates, that altitude, he's not asking why. So 14 minutes and 26 seconds here. We're going to let this roll to about another 3 minutes. Here we go.
Lady.
5. Who are we paying taxes to and why?
Taxes. Well, that's a pronoun. The adjective pronouns were kicked out of our homeland in 1999. It's up to each claimant to figure out what to do with their specific usuries and their postal circumstances. And then they've got to comprehend there is a thing called sacrifice. And I will say this, that they will tell you, the DOJs will tell you, they want their pound of flesh. And they mean it. They mean that they want to hurt you if you stand up to them. So you better be prepared. You better know the terms. You better set the terms. You better be ready to die. You better be ready to kick some ass. Stand your ground. Have courage. Know that you're correct. Know that you're going to land on top of them in the end. And then you got to have that mentality when you're in the fight.
6. Fighting.
Wow. Actually, I think I'm just going to let it end right there. They want their pound of flesh. They don't give a fuck. They're all fiction. There's nothing legal. There's nothing lawful about what they do. And you are just indoctrinated into usury. So that's what he's talking about. The claimant, the claim of the life, claiming your sovereignty, and denying the fiction, denying the straw man. I did several videos on assassinating the straw man. What's in your wallet? I got a bunch of dead straw men in my wallet, because that's what needed to be done. And so I just did it. And then I showed you how I did it, explained how I did it, why I did it. All right. the next video I'm going to play, I'm going to actually give you picture in picture. I'm going to actually give you picture in picture. I'm going to put this in a tripod, and I think I'll turn the light down. Let's see, here's the talk. Derek Johnson on September 3rd is the title. It's on his channel. The link for this talk is in the description. It's the top one. The next one down is the talk, SGNN and Derek Johnson, that I did a video on recently. I'll get the sound down here while I cue this in. So, like I say, first part of this video, probably a good 20 minutes or so, Derek's ranting about all the hate and the idiots and the trolls and blah, 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 blah. And, but then he settles in and he starts making some real good points. And I'm getting real close here. 25, 28. This would probably be a good place to pick it up. I got to get this in here without shutting it off. Let's go back and re-cue it. All right, here we go. Get the volume up. I think we're going to listen to about 6 or 7 minutes.
And Crown King in Saudi Arabia also declared Jerusalem capital of Israel. Then he stood in front of the G7 summit in front of all those people, smiling and grinning. One man in front of all those people. You don't think the military is in control? Go back and watch that. He stood in front of all of them, smiling and grinning. And they were all looking at him. Some of them were looking at him in admiration. And some of them were thinking,
trying to get a full picture.
We're in trouble now. Because he said, we're going to expose you to the world if you don't come on board with this. He also played hands with the Pope. Go back and watch that video. He's messing with the Pope's hand. That's someone who is in full control, who knows all the answers, and also has a military backing him. And it's really the military who President Trump's put into place to show you, the people, you can have a strong economy and a high defense budget, and you don't have to create a war to pay for our military. And if you miss that one key part, that's what you're missing out on this whole thing, is that he had a strong economy and he had a high defense budget, and he never had to start a war, which debunked and destroyed the whole federal corporation and all their bullcrap of every 4 years. It destroyed the every 4-year mentality. He never started a war, and he ended stuff, and he got stuff done. He bombed the hell out of Afghanistan. You didn't hear them saying, when he dropped the Moab on them, you didn't hear no more chirping out of Afghanistan. He put that 25,000-pound bomb on that mountain and disseminated that mountain. You didn't hear no more barking after that. So some of you out there, that not all of you, I'm not talking about you patriots, I'm not talking about 1776 Nation, I'm talking about people that might be hearing this for the first time, or maybe your friends and family that need to hear it this way. We have the weakest, softest, most pansy nation of soft people, these guys, and you can't even get a 25-year-old to serve in the military now, much less an 18-year-old. Look at the numbers. They can't even get people to sign up in the military, even though a lot of that's optics to try to, create some passion and create something for your nation to see what kind of people we have. But at the end of the day, once again, we have such a soft nation who are afraid to stand up, who are afraid to speak the truth, who are afraid. We have such a soft pansy nation. And people who think that being tough are all kinds of stuff that have nothing about being tough. And it don't even have anything to do with fighting. But we have people who won't do what JFK actually said. Ask not what my country can do for me, but what can I do for my country? Or we don't have that mentality right now. Not by the majority. There's a few of us that do, and there's a lot of people on this page that do, but there's a lot of people watching this that's getting shared for the first time that's watching this. You're not. And you won't fight for this country like you think you will. We're tired of hearing that too. And you don't have to be a veteran to be tired of that. Patriots are tired of this whole bull crap. I'll fight for my country if I have to. You have to every single day. America is an idea on a piece of paper in the Smithsonian. It don't fight for us. We fight for it. And we're tired of it. We're not going to comply. We're not gonna kowtow to all you pansy liberals and you 1%ers out there. We're tired of this bull crap. We want you to have your life. We want you to live at your household. We don't want you cramming crap down our throats. You're not going to cram it down our children's throats. You're not going to cram it down at the schools. You're not going to cram that bull crap anymore. We're tired of it. That's what you're understanding. We're tired of it. And that's the nation that's rising up now. We're tired of that. We don't want you hurt. We don't want you harmed. We don't want you ridiculed. We don't want you mocked. We don't want to make people bullying you. We don't want people making fun of you. But we're tired of you taking your bull crap idiocy and cramming it down our throats. We're sick of that. We're tired of it. And we let too many people in different positions give you a platform and cram this crap down people's throats. And we're not doing that anymore. We're tired of that. That's why we're disseminating Fox News and CNN and all these other things as well, because Fox News did the same thing. Fox News pitted good conservatives and Republicans, pulled them over here and got them all riled up. And CNN's over here, and then they go at it like this, and it has nothing to do with that. Your rights and your freedoms have nothing to do with this. Nothing. It's as simple as the framework of the Constitution. It's as simple as understanding what the military does in its capacity and how it supports and defends the Declaration and the Constitution and how those support your life out there. You don't want the federal government having certain controls. You don't want state governments having certain controls, and you don't want local government having certain controls of certain things. You don't want that because it depends on who's interpreting the law, right? You don't want that. So some of you are cramming so hard, you're fighting so hard for something you really don't want because it depends on who's interpreting it. It could backfire on you. That's why the framework of the Constitution was so broad, because it shouldn't cover certain things. It covers certain things for a reason. So when you apply that, the other thing that's coming up is the Executive Order 13848 deadline. I've been seeing a lot of comments on that. Just want to brief on that really quick. Just because it expires or it's reached its deadline does not mean that this whole operation is done. It's an executive order. That's why you have to understand legislation. Military occupancy. Military was established first. Occupancy. The military can take over this country at any one time that Congress is not doing what it's supposed to be doing according to the Constitution and Declaration of Independence. That's what they say. The military is supposed to do that. It hasn't done that in years past. It's doing that now. Military occupancy.
It's doing that now.
All right. War Powers Resolution Act in your Declaration of Wars, executive orders, national emergencies. You got to understand legislation and how they all stack up. That is an executive order. All right. It's powerful and it's important for what it was, but there's a lot of Trump people out there still and a lot of conservatives that were, this 2020 election was stolen. You're so hung up on 2020, you're missing everything else. That Executive Order 13848 was not for just November 3rd, 2020. It was for November 2018, November 2020, November 2022, November 2024. It was never for just one. It's an order that set the precedent for judges, lawyers, secretary of states, attorney generals, and governors. All right. It's already done what it's supposed to do. All right. And the sleepy side of people are having to see President Trump play this game with all you out there and the election interference, because once again, 54% of America with this literacy problem can't even name the three branches of government. So how are you going to understand election interference isn't just a ballot box? Election interference is when a president has 11 million pages with no typos, where his life is clean as a bell, clean as a whistle, in taxes and everything. 11 million pages, no typos, and you have people out there lying about a man they know nothing about, like these few trolls out there who lie about my life. They're trying to prefabricate lies for what? For what? Don't even know me. For what reason? For me telling you where the current laws and orders are? I mean, how dumb can you be? That is dumb by definition. It's a definition.
All right. So the link to that talk is the top link in the description of this video. I would suggest that you take the time to listen to that entire talk. And pretty much everything in the description of that video can be very important for you in connecting the dots to get you out of your brain fog, out of your MK Ultra, out of your indoctrination. And you're going to come to grips eventually with you need to own your authority. And it's up to you to stand. It's up to you to fight. And it is war, and they're out to kill you. So keeping yourself safe is important, but standing is more important. It's generations of those that didn't stand that got us to where we are. Now, it might do you good to watch some old Westerns. Westerns you probably never heard of before. Old TV, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And you had some freedom, especially as the West was getting settled. True freedom. And no trespass. That includes on your land. And you'll see time and time and time again in these old movies and these old shows where a sheriff or a marshal will come riding up on a ranch or a farm, and they're taking gunfire. And it's almost comical. I mean, it's not. I mean, this is serious. It's real serious. But the sheriff, the marshal or sheriff, whoa, it's sheriff. I know it's you, sheriff. You're trespassing. You got a warrant? Get off of my land. Like that. Yeah. You shoot at the sheriff. You shoot at the marshal. You shoot at any motherfucker that's trespassing on you. Trespass, it's serious. Real serious. So what's going to happen? Well, what is going to happen when we get on the other side? Everybody wants to get on the other side. What's going to happen when people have true freedom, true liberty, and they are so dumbed down, so brain dead, so incapable of critical thinking, and they're going to have all this dangerous freedom? Motherfucker. Ooh, baby. We're going to go through some turbulent times, in my estimation. But we should be beautiful. And I'm just ready. I'm ready. Are you ready? I'd like to see some of you come and stand with me here in Kalkaska. Just be a witness. We don't have enough eyes and enough cameras. That's apparent every time. Not enough eyes, not enough cameras. And these parasites, their days are numbered. and more they're getting to know it. But a lot of these, I got to take I got to readdress this executive order blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. That's all it takes is corruption. And under Section 1, A, to be responsible for or complicit in, or to have directly or indirectly engaged in serious human rights abuse. Any human rights abuse is serious. These demonic slave courts, district court, demonic god worship, maritime flag, gold fringed flag with a tassel. That's a maritime flag, stands for no nation, no constitution. It's enslavement. Where are our veterans? Where are the men? Too many of the men are too dumbed down. They want to talk about that federal constitution like it has any jurisdiction over them. And then boom! Oh my goodness. Well, whoever's here, I hope this helped you. And whoever watches it, I hope it helps you. Pay attention. Own your authority. Keep yourself safe. And wake up, for God's sakes. Once you wake up, now you're living a nightmare. That's why you got to own your authority. That's why you got to be willing to stand. All right, everybody. Check out Derek Johnson's talk. It's a very good talk. I love you. I'll be back.